you're not alone. If you need someone to talk to today, please contact Crisis Services Canada by either calling them at 1-833-456-4566 all hours of the day, or you can text them at 45645 at 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time. Remember, you're not alone, and Crisis Services Canada is here to help. Good morning and welcome to this edition of Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. I'm your host, Graeme Forsyth. Coffee with Graeme, of course, is brought to you by Pure Nata, Fabricland Winkler, and Evolve Green. We got a great lineup for you guys coming up today. I'm going to be joined first in a live interview by Brett Tataryn. He's from Argyle, Manitoba. He's a Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy grad. He just graduated on Friday. We're going to get into grad a bit. We're also going to get into the commitment he made to play junior hockey for the 2021-2022 season, where he's going to be playing for the OCN Blizzard in the MJHL. And we're also going to reflect on his time with the Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy and his time playing with the male U17 prep team. So without further ado, please welcome and join with joining. Please get ready to watch Brett Tataryn here on Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. And here he is, Brett Tataryn, joining Coffee with Graeme. And my apologies on stumbling on that intro there at the end. I don't know what was going on. It seemed like I was having a stroke. But yeah, Brett Tataryn joining me on the show now. Brett, how you doing? Just graduated. I mean, you're going to be playing junior hockey next year. I mean, what's going on with you? How's things going?
I'm good. I just got back home from moving out from Pilot-Mound and just getting settled back here. Going to start work soon and start living life, I guess.
Yeah, right on. How's it been since you've been back home? Of course, settling into things again.
Good, especially with the new free restrictions. We get a bit more freedom to do whatever we want. Go hang out with some friends I haven't seen for a while since I've been away for so long. So things have been good.
That's great. And you just graduated. What was grad like on Friday? I mean, like grad in these times seems like it's not the same as when I graduated, but how is that whole experience like of graduating with your teammates?
I can't really say that grad should be a certain way because I've never experienced a grad before, but I think ours went very well. Felt like we had a very good setup going. We couldn't do much because it was just the grads that were allowed in the gym for the ceremony. So it's not like we can experience it with our parents and our family, but it was pretty well set up for what we had to deal with restrictions and stuff. So yeah, it was a very good process.
Yeah, that's great. And of course, back in Argyle, Manitoba now, getting ready for your first season of Junior A hockey coming up this season. What's the off-season plans going to be looking like for you?
Off season is gonna consist of lots of working out, either a gym or at home, wherever I can and wherever I have time to do that. And then I'm gonna start hockey, not next week, but the week after. Then couple of good weeks of hard training, and then maybe some preseason camps to get ready in game shape going into OCN, heading to play Junior A.
Are you going to have a chance to do any training sessions with the team at all coming up this summer?
Most likely not, unless it's very late summer. If we get called out early to do some welcoming to the program type stuff, community program stuff. Some guys I know have done that before, so probably won't be doing anything with the team until at least late summer.
Right on, right on. So just how excited are you to finally be able to make that jump to playing junior A hockey coming up this season?
I'm excited. I've been waiting my whole youth hockey career to be playing junior hockey anywhere, and I think I've prepared myself correctly, and just gonna have to keep working at it. And I know I'm able to play and at that level and that caliber, so just gotta keep level headed and know I gotta work hard to play if I want to keep playing.
Why exactly did you choose OCN as that next place to commit to play hockey at? Like, what were your options? Were there other places than OCN on the table, or was OCN kind of that team that stuck out to you the most?
All right, so yeah, obviously I was a prospect of OCN. I'd say about 2 Christmases ago, I got traded from Portage to OCN. It was a big trade, a big top tier goaltender that got traded for 3 of us. And shortly after that, they had a coaching change, and Billy Keane is appointed the new coach and GM. And ever since then, he's been really keeping contact with me, and he's been very interested in how I can play. And he's seen me, and I've been to the fall camp last year and offered me a spot. But I wanted to finish my midget career while I still had 1 year left and develop, because some guys don't get that extra year development if they jump right into juniors. So
Yeah.
I took advantage of that, and I decided that just keep it local for now, and especially for the first year of junior, you never know what's going to happen. COVID might flare up again or something, so it might be just better off to be a bit more close to home. And the program they've been talking up is going to be very good. Lots of good 03s, 01s, and 04s joining that club. So I've known most of those guys for my entire youth bantam career. So won't be that big of a surprise to see those guys. I know what they can do, and I know that we can all work together pretty well come to season.
Yeah, and it's going to be great to see just what you guys are going to be able to do with just that talent you got coming in with, like you said, the 01s, the 03s, the 04s. Just how excited are you to reconnect with some familiar faces and get to start off with some familiar faces in your junior hockey career?
I'm really excited, especially a few of my ex teammates from last year's season in Pilot-Mound, McDonald in Holland. Holland's a local guy there, so he knows the ropes, and I'm sure he'll be able to help a few guys out, getting to know the PAW and OCN a bit better. Playing with those guys for a year has been good, so I know those guys, and I got chemistry with those guys. So if I can find a spot and we can play together on a line or something, that'd be a best option. But yeah, it won't be that big of a deal getting to be able to work with these guys, these new guys coming into the season.
How huge is it going to be for you getting to just like you said, you chose to you want to stay more local? Just how huge is that getting to get to play, continue your hockey development at the junior A level in junior hockey playing in Manitoba?
It's a privilege because not everybody has a good junior A program for where they are, and I think with where we are in Manitoba, it's the way things are going. Hopefully the season gets started, and it'll be great to play in front of the home province, home crowd, and the new town, or my next new hometown, the PAW, Manitoba.
How far away is the PAW from Argyle, Manitoba?
Just under 7 hours.
Nice. So, with that experience, just going out to Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy, just living with your teammates, just how excited are you to continue to get some more experience of just being on your own, being more of an individual?
I'm excited because that gives you character when you can live by yourself and be responsible, take care of yourself, and make the right choices to be successful when mom and dad aren't around to take care of you. It's good for everybody to take off away from home, for especially in the hockey scene. Uh, Sometimes that's the biggest thing that helps you be prepared for life. Living on your own, just out there on the road and traveling with the guys, and you just no distractions really when you're away from home because everybody's in the same boat. You can all connect with each other and relate to each other. So yeah, it should be good.
What are you going to be doing in terms of just stuff on your downtime? Are you going to be looking for some work out there? Is there going to be school you're going to be doing? What's going to be the stuff going on for you outside of hockey?
Yeah, yeah. Well, either workouts for sure because that's part of the whole deal when you go play for a team. But downside of things, there's lots of great fishing there. One of the greatest lakes in all of Canada are in that up in the Paw, Clear Lake, or um, volunteer stuff with the community. There's lots of activities you can do. Like they have a big ice fishing tournament up there. That should be fun to do. Good hunting. Hang out with the guys. Just hang out with the families, the billet families. That's also a responsibility. If you get paired up with family with young kids, babysitting whenever you can. Also, probably just getting a job up there in the meantime.
Nice. Anything you just looking for if you do get a job, just any type of work you're looking for?
Yeah, I mean, at home right now, I'm working at a family friend mechanical shop, like tire changes, oil changes, stuff like that. So I'm good at that hard labor type stuff. So anything like that should be fine.
Nice. And how, like you spoke about billet families, just how excited are you to be able to be paired up with one of the billet families out in OCN in the Paul?
It would be exciting because I've never been a part of a billet family. I've always been living with teammates, not a certain family, and uh, hopefully that we can get paired up with a family that I can connect with and relate with very quick and easily, and should be all right.
In terms of what you're going to be bringing to this team, your coach Rick McConnell spoke about you. Just said you have a strong work ethic and commitment to the game, both on and off the ice. You play a gritty style of game. You have a good shot, and you log a ton of ice time playing in all situations. Are those just some of the things that you're going to be able to bring to this OCN Blizzard squad, or are there other things that you feel like you're going to be able to bring as well?
Yeah, well, being a rookie going into the first year, you can only do so much, right? You
Yeah.
just got to know your role, and whatever you get put in, you can either sit on it and dwell on it, or you can work to get better opportunities. And I'm always the guy who wants to keep progressing and excel and do as best as I can and do as much as I can in that time. And yeah, you gotta work for what you want to earn. You gotta earn every bit of it.
So those were some of the conversations you were able to have with the head coach as well, just talking about that, just the stuff about trying to earn your spot, just trying to earn your ice time.
Yeah, we definitely talked about that. That was one of the things he said that if I come here, I gotta promise that we all gotta work hard. We all gotta deserve our spot on the team, and by doing that, we gotta show them how we can play and how smart we can be and how tough we can be and be the best we can be.
How excited are you to be part of positive things to come for this team? You just adding you, they add a good forward. This is a team that was last in the conference in the games they played this season, and goals for with 23, tied third last, and In total, just third in the division, fourth most in total goals against. Just how excited are you to be part of the things that are going to help propel this team to potentially getting back to the top of the rankings and the standings?
I'm excited because I really think that this next upcoming year can be a real turnaround year for the club, and it's exciting knowing that we're all confident coming into the season. We should all be in good shape by the time season starts, and if we can start on the right foot, we should all have a very successful season and hopefully turn it around, flip the rankings. So yeah, I'm excited for that.
Well, we're going to take our first commercial break in the show. We're going to be talking a bit more about the OCN Blizzard commitment that Brett made, and then we'll move into talking about his Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy career here on this edition of Coffee with Graeme. I've been joined by Brett Tataryn, team captain and senior of the Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy male U17 prep team. We're going to go to our first commercial break here in the show. Stick with us. We'll be back here on Coffee with Graeme with more from Brett. Welcome back to Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. I've been joined in this first interview of today's episode by Brett Tataryn, team captain for the Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy male U17 prep team. He was a senior this season, just graduated on Friday. And yeah, we've been talking about his commitment to his team that he's going to be playing on next year, the OCN Blizzard in the MJHL. We're going to continue talking about the commitment to OCN now. Just what are you most excited for to just experience during the junior hockey lifestyle? Would it be just all the things like just getting to experience being with a billet family, just hanging with the boys? What exactly are you most excited for, Brett?
I'm excited to move into a new environment, especially the junior hockey scene. Everybody's been wanting to play junior hockey for their whole career if they want to take hockey seriously, and I'm privileged and honored to play in a great place and hopefully turn around the club with a great season.
Have you had a chance to speak with any of your teammates yet at this time?
Only the guys that I know going into it. A few of the guys I played with already. So I know what to expect going in there. All the guys seem to be pretty good and pretty good guys at camp when I was there last year. So shouldn't be a big deal getting along with those guys.
How excited are you to be able to go up against all of the great talent in the MJHL come next season?
I'm excited because the only way you can get better in hockey is to play with guys better than yourself. You're not going to get any better if you're playing against guys that aren't as good as you. And so certainly not the case in the MJ. Everybody's great skilled if they're playing in there, obviously. I'm looking forward to being able to put my skill up against other guys' skill and see how I can develop in that league.
Just with you being a captain for the past 2 seasons with the Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy male U17 prep team, I know you're going to be a rookie coming in, so you're going to be younger. But just how do you feel like the experiences of you being a captain, just in terms of your characteristics as a leader, are going to help this team in situations maybe more so down the
line? The more leaders you have on a team, the better it is. As leaders know their roles, and leaders will assign roles, and everybody will have their spots, and they'll know where they stand in the lineup. And everybody will do their own part to be successful, and leaders understand that the best. So the more leaders we can have, the better off we'll be. And I think in the first year, I'm not expecting too much, but down the line, especially, I think the leadership role could coming my way.
In terms of what you feel you need to continue improving on to get more effective, what are some of the things that you're going to be working on, looking to be working on in terms of on ice heading into the first season with OCN?
Obviously, getting back into the swing of things. Everybody's going to have to get a little bit of a refresher. The speed, things that I can control are like my speed, my shot, my agility, overall quickness. Those are things that I'll have to, first of all, get comfortable back doing, and then try to excel those attributes in the short amount of time I got in the summer for training. And of course, when we get there, new coach, the guys that played for Billy last season won't have to worry about it too much, but the rookies coming in will have to figure out the new style of play he's got, and it's going to take a while for all the new guys to adjust to that. But that's common in the hockey scene, so that's what I'm going to have to work on.
How do you feel like your time at the Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy has really helped prepare you to take that next step in hockey?
My time was well spent. We're skating almost every day except for this year because how things went, just how it went this year. And my previous 2 years, we had very strong teams. Obviously, in my first year, we had a really old team. We had like a third of the team was grade 12s, so we had lots of old age, powerful guys. We went into playoffs really confident. We're right up there with the top team in the league, and we kind of just folded into the pressure and collapsed in playoffs. And we didn't make the final spot. We lost in semifinals, but last season with the championship squad we had, we went in. We learned from our mistake. The previous year, we weren't going to be too cocky going into the league, going into playoffs, top of the league, top dogs again. We just got to keep level head, knowing that we could lose again. So we definitely had that in the back of our mind. But just being prepared for the tough battles we had to going into the finals, and it's prepared me and all my ex-teammates very well for the next step. So we definitely know what it's like to lose, but we for sure know what it's like to win. And it was a great feeling to get that championship last year.
You speak about just not coming into cocky. Just you feel like even though you guys lost in that 2018-19 season, weren't able to get it done, you think it was maybe a blessing in disguise getting that experience so early on for not only you but the people your age on the team and just the players that came in with you into the next season in that championship season. You feel like that loss in that first season kind of was a blessing because it was a life lesson in a way that you can't be so sure that you're going to win. You can't come in too cocky.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Team Canada juniors from this year. They dominated all tournament, didn't face any adversity, and going into the finals, they got showed up because they didn't have any tough battles really. So that just goes to show that you need some tough battles to learn how to win and learn how to lose. And just based off losing, you can figure out what you need to work on, and then you can actually excel in the winning side of things. So I think it was very good that we now know how it feels to lose and what we need to do to not lose. So I think that helped a lot.
Yeah, and just speak about that championship run you guys had. You guys went on the website, on the Pilot-Mound website. It said that you guys went 40-25-3, ended up winning the CSSHL championship. Just speak about what the road was like to get in there, the stuff you guys faced along the way.
Yeah, so basically we started off not too great. First few games we were all kind of jambling and rambling just to get knowing each other, the chemistry. We didn't have a great start, but then after we started working together and gaining that chemistry from practices, we started to get things going a bit, and we started to finally start to succeed in the league. And going into the final stretch of the season, we kind of fell into a slump, and we lost the last 8 games in a row or something crazy like that. So we were kind of embarrassed going into the final playoff championships in BC, and we kind of just thought, hey, like, we need to step it up. We got nothing to lose now. We got embarrassed in the last part of the season, so we need to come out flying in playoffs. And I think that losing slump also, like, really helped out in the successful part of playoffs, because we definitely didn't want to experience that again, and we came out on top. So I'm very proud of the guys. We really succeeded in that part of the playoffs.
Just after the disappointment from the 2018-19 season, to be able to come away with a championship after, like you said, you guys struggled heading into playoffs with that long losing streak. Just what was that like, getting to know that you guys were able to win the championship when you guys, I'm not sure if there's a trophy, I know there was a banner, but just when you guys were finally did it, just what that feeling was like?
It was a good feeling, because most of the guys that I played with in my first year came back and returned for the next year. And just going through that with those guys, knowing that we lost the previous year, but the next year we won it all. It felt really good, and we were all proud of the process. We stuck with it and battled hard for 2 years, and we got what we wanted out of it. And it's just a shame we couldn't experience that this year, because who knows, we might have had another strong team, could have done it again, but it's just a shame we wouldn't know that.
Yeah, it was a shame that you guys weren't able to experience potentially the same playoff run again this year because of just COVID-19 and the challenges that it posed in terms of just sports this season. But yeah, you guys came into 2019-2020 losing a 100-point getter Matty Harold, just losing a guy like that. What was that like at the start of the season? Just trying to I guess trying to account for losing Matty and just guys that you did lose that were huge the year before.
All of our guys, all of our grade 12s from that previous year and my first year, were key guys. They're all good leaders. Matty was our captain in my first year, and he definitely led the way along with the other guys, other strong leaders, and they just kind of put us on their back, and we were along for they were controlling the season. We were along for their season. That was their graduating year, and they definitely made the best of it. Showed us how to play real hockey, and especially in my first year, it was an honor to play with those guys, because they really helped me out in my development. Them being so skilled, they definitely put up a challenge in practices, and fighting for the playing spots, fighting for the top line. And it's tough when you go from playing with really good guys to being the older guys the next year, and having to turn yourself into those role models. At least we learned from those guys, and we figured out how to lead a team successfully. And for those guys, all of us in the first year were really special, really deserving. They played very well. So Matty's playing in the MJ now for the Pistons, and he deserves all of that. He's a great player. He's a good friend of mine. Go back for 3 years now. So it was an honor to play with those guys.
Just being able to be named captain in that 2019-2020 season, of course, Matty Harold being captain the year before. What are some of the things that you were able to learn while playing with Matty Harold in terms of just being able to be a leader and just being able to play the game, I guess, the right way?
Yeah, so watching the captain from my first year do his thing, it kind of made it easier on me, knowing what I'd have to do, and being a leader, you have to keep your cool, but you got to also make sure all the guys are doing their part. Um, you gotta help coach out as best as possible. He's counting on you to be accountable for yourself and responsible for yourself, and make sure your teammates are doing the right thing, and make sure you can do anything you can to win the game. So yeah, just watching him do his thing the year before me, and uh, it was a bit easier on me and figuring out what I had to do to make us so successful.
How much would you say that you really grew throughout those 2 seasons? Of course, in terms of the stats, you put up 49 points in 65 games in 2018-19. Then you put up 60 points in 66 games played. My apologies. In the championship season in 2019-2020, you were second on the team in points. Just that production, that side of the development, as well as the development of you in terms of just as an individual on and off the ice, just in terms of being thrown into that situation where you're that more mature player on the team. Now you are the team captain. Just what was that development like in those ways from year 1 to 2?
Well, I've had some talks with Rick, and he said that the development that I've made throughout the years that I've played for him has been outstanding, just from the way that the playing style is, like the speed of the skating, the hockey IQ, the shot. He said that he's very proud to see how I've developed, and I feel like I'm just getting better every year, and last year was a great year that we just sadly couldn't show ourselves and showcase our skills. So hopefully this upcoming year I'm even better than I was last year, and uh, hopefully that we get a season and then we can actually showcase ourselves. But yeah, I feel like as a person off the ice too, I've developed knowing that I can be more humble and bit more optimistic, and just knowing that I can be good and I can be better every year. I just got to keep working hard and trust the process. So yeah, I've developed both ways, and I'm proud of the way I have.
Talking about this season now, before we end things, we'll hop into this season. Then we'll let you go here, Brett. Just you guys started off really struggling against the Rink Hockey Academy, but then you guys ended up finishing strong to the season after that bad start. Just speak about what was the key to you guys turning it around and being able to finish the way you guys did.
Yeah, so the first games we had this year were against the rink. They had two different levels of age on their program. Can't remember which team we played first, but we played one of the rink teams, and we actually put up a good fight. I think it was one goal game going into the third period, and then we kind of just let ourselves go. We just got a bit too cocky, just thinking, hey, we can stick with these guys, and we must be pretty good because we can play good hockey with the rink. But yeah, we just kind of lost it, and we kind of blew that game. And then the next few times we played them, we just didn't have it in us. I honestly couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you what happened, but yeah, then playing that good of a team, going into Brandon, playing against Brandon, we won those 4 games against them, and it definitely felt good to finally get a win. And who knows, that could have also helped us. Could have helped us in the long run in our actual league, and playing against that team and actually winning a few games. So yeah, I wish we can see how we would have played against other teams, but yeah, it felt good to win those games.
Yeah, for sure, no doubt. Especially after the start that you guys had, no doubt about that. And can you just speak about were you guys were a more experienced team this season rather than younger, or was it the other way around?
It was the other way around. This year we had some guys that uh, the guys that we have played with or I have played with before for our championship season. And then quite a few guys that haven't played midget hockey. We had quite a bit of grade 10s coming in from Alberta. Some guys haven't. So we had some guys that haven't played AAA caliber hockey. So it was kind of a big step for those guys, and it took a bit more work to help them feel comfortable in the surroundings of midget prep hockey. And we definitely weren't as experienced, but by the end of the midpoint of the season, we could have been a great team. We would never know, but we definitely weren't as experienced as we were in my first year. Yeah.
How much did the COVID-19 pandemic affect this team? Because this is a team that not only has players coming from Manitoba, but other places as well. I think I remember hearing something, I could be wrong, when we came out to broadcast some female games for the academy this year, that there were some complications with people getting there with COVID. Just explain how that situation all rolled out for you guys in terms of like what players you guys were able to have on the roster.
Okay, so at the beginning of the year, we had a player that nobody knew who he was. His name was on the door. We couldn't figure out who he was or where he was. And we basically just played the whole first part of the season without him, or we practiced without him. And then after Christmas comes along, we had this new guy, and he was from Belgium. He didn't really speak that very well English, and he basically said he couldn't come because of their rules, and he just had to wait till after Christmas break, and we finally got him into the mix. And very skilled player, and it's pretty cool to know guys from that far away in Europe. And it's just how it had to be with COVID, just getting new guys, especially from that far away. It was kind of tough, but at least we got to meet them, and we got to hang out with them and practice with them, and gain some knowledge about foreign countries. And it was just how it had to be, I guess.
You put up 6 points in 8 games played this season. Just seems like you kept improving your game every season. Just throughout the years, playing competition like schools like the Rink, the Edge, other schools, the Pursuit of Excellence, any other schools that you guys played. Just what was it like getting to experience playing against this competition in the CSSHL to further your development in hockey?
Definitely, it's a privilege to play against those prestigious clubs. They've been around for a while, and they always recruit really good players, and playing against them only makes you better. And I'm definitely honored to be able to play at the league that I'm in and that I was a part of, and travel as far and as much as we did. We didn't have any other teams in our league that were in Manitoba, so every time we wanted to play somewhere, we had to either travel or they had to come to us. So we didn't really make that big of a travel this year. We only got to play in Winnipeg and then in Brandon, but any other year we would be going to BC, and this year we'd be going as far as Vancouver because of the new teams that were part of the new expansion leagues and tiers rankings of the league. And it was just pretty awesome to play against those good new teams.
The last question before I let you go here, Brett, just in terms of you as a leader, how would you describe yourself as a leader there on the ice or off the ice as well?
I would have to say that just from what I've been told, I'm just an easy guy to get along with and easy guy to listen to. I'm not a real big yeller. I just get my points across and lead by example. That's why Coach Rick and Ernie appointed me captain in my last 2 years there. And I guess guys just get along with me, and it's a bit better when you get along with your captain versus find him as sort of a tyrant. Yeah, it's just a bit better process. I know going through my process, it's a bit better when you get along with your captain. So glad the guys get along with me.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Great that they were able to get along with you. Just think it speaks about just your leadership and your ability to lead by example on the ice as well with the production you put up. And yeah, I wish you the best in your next venture here in hockey with the OCN Blizzard, moving down to the Paw and playing Junior A hockey in the MJHL when the season rolls around. And if something comes up, maybe we'll have you on the show again, Brett. This was a lot of fun. Thanks for coming on today.
Yep, honored to be on the show, Graeme.
Awesome, Brett. So that was Brett Tataryn, captain, I guess former captain now of the Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy male U17 prep team. I'm going to let him go now. We're going to take another commercial break here in the show. We'll be back with another guest here on Coffee with Graeme. Stick with us here on ASTV Productions.
Welcome to Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy, your world-class academic and hockey training facility created to maximize each student's athletic and academic potential. Blackjack Stewart Arena, home of the Buffalo, is inside the 46,000 square foot complex, as well as a curling rink and other facilities. The students have a unique combination of successful, well-rounded education at Pilot-Mound Collegiate Institute and the professional hockey training in an encouraging community. The years of experience of on-ice coaching propel our students to the next level, both mentally and physically, in a professional environment.
Welcome back to Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. Of course, Brett Tataryn, former team captain, I guess we'll call him that now since he's a graduate of Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy as of Friday. He joined me on the show today to talk about his commitment to OCN, the OCN Blizzard for the 2021-2022 season, playing in the MJHL, as well as his time with the Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy male U17 prep team. So we're going to dive into the second segment in today's episode, the second interview. Did this pre-recorded yesterday. It's an edition of Inside the University, and I did it with head coach of the University of Manitoba Bisons women's hockey team, Jon Rempel. Jon joined me yesterday to just talk about his time with the program. We went through some of the most notable moments in his time with the program, and there are a lot of them. He's had pretty much nothing but success with this team. A lot of championship appearances in the Canada West Conference, getting to win a national championship as well as a Canada West title back in 2017-18. They've won 3 Canada West titles in total. They've had a chance to go up against Alberta plenty of times. We get into that and more in today's edition of Coffee with Graeme in this first interview with Jon Rempel. Before I do show you guys the interview, though, I'm going to sign off here since the interview with Jon is quite lengthy, so I'm not going to come back. I'm going to spare you guys the time. I'm just going to sign off now. So I want to thank everyone who's been watching so far for tuning into this edition of Coffee with Graeme. I want to thank Brett Tataryn for joining and being the first guest in today's episode. And I also want to thank our sponsors of today's show, our official sponsors in Pure Nata, Fabricland Winkler, and Evolve Green, as well as the other sponsors that you'll see in this episode. I'll be back on the network for another edition of Coffee with Graeme on Thursday at 10 a.m. Central Daylight Time. You can catch that episode on our Facebook at ASTV Productions or on our website at astvproductions.com. And if you guys want to find out who the guest will be for that episode, be sure to check us out on Twitter at Amateur Sports TV, as well as our Facebook and Instagram at ASTV Productions, as we'll be announcing who the guest will be sometime tomorrow coming up on our Thursday episode. But yeah, without further ado, let's welcome in now Jon Rempel, head coach of the University of Manitoba Bisons, here on this edition of Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. Just gotta find the episode here. because I did save it on my desktop. Here, so what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to remove myself from the screen here. We'll be back in a moment. Just stick with us while I try to find this video here. 1 sec. Okay, so I was able to find it. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming in Jon Rempel, head coach of the University of Manitoba Bisons women's hockey team, here on this edition of Inside the University on Coffee with Graeme. Joining Inside the University now is head coach of the University of Manitoba Bisons women's hockey team, Jon Rempel. Jon, I know you've had a busy morning. I've had a busy morning as well, as I just finished doing a Rise and Shine Manitoba episode. But it's great to be able to connect with you on this Monday morning. How's things going for you during these times?
Yeah, well, I think you're busier than I am right now. So but I did have something to catch up on this morning. But yeah, it's been, I'm like most people trying to figure out, a day-to-day routine has been interesting. It's been all over the map like it has been for most people. We're actually kind of taking most of July now to kind of decompress and get away from hockey, actually, to believe it or not, just from talking about it and Zooming about it and that kind of stuff. I think the group was very adamant that we needed to get away from each other for a while and just really get excited again about coming back in August and those kinds of things. So it's been, it's been really interesting. It's been a learning experience. A lot of opportunities actually out of this have come out of this, and some real big challenges. But again, it's just something that you kind of got to take head on, and that's what we've been trying to do.
Yeah, and I think that'll be great to just kind of take a month, take some time for yourselves to relax, recoup, and regroup before the hockey season starts here, heading into the season of 2021-2022. What have the Zoom meetings and stuff like that been like throughout the past year, I guess, just with no hockey being played here in Canada in terms of university?
It's been interesting, actually, because I mean, myself not knowing anything about Zoom when this whole pandemic started, I had heard of it. I had no idea. I'd never been on a Zoom call in my life. I'd done a couple of Skype calls, which obviously are similar. But now, having gone through the process, there's been a variety of a lot of different things. The one thing that was really positive for us, it gave us a chance to integrate our new players coming into the program, which is something I've always struggled with and never really could find a way to integrate them in the spring of the preceding year. So we were able to do that last year. We've already been able to do that this year. So I think that's been a real big benefit. There's been a lot of good learning opportunities. We've had a chance to rework a lot of our tech package stuff. We spent a lot of time on that. We've had a lot of chance to develop some leadership opportunities in concert with some of our players. We've had a lot of good opportunities to have professional development stuff with our team and our players and lots of contributions that way. So that part of things has been actually quite beneficial for our program, I believe. And trying to really measure what was too much, what was too little, how much did we need to do around, the shutdowns. We obviously got shut down twice after we had rebooted, once last fall and then once in spring here now, actually, after we'd had a good little run going. So it's become the part of the fabric of sort of how we do things now. I think it's not going to be as much moving forward, but I think there's definitely a place for, in terms of efficiency and execution and how you execute your plan, that Zoom and platforms like this have a real place moving forward in the modern sort of the way that coaches, players interact. I really feel there's a benefit there, and we've got to sort of piece that together as we move forward, and hopefully get back together and find out what is the place for this medium. So it's actually been pretty good.
Yeah, that's great. And it's nice to know that this has been an effective tool for just in terms of sports for hockey, just in this case, just to know that this is a tool that you'll be able to use going forward, even if like things do get back to normal. It'll always be nice to know that, and Zoom in and stuff like that will have its place. But just talking about you, right on the website on the U of M, just in the bio that they had for you that you're going to be entering your 18th season as head coach this year in 2021-2022. Just what's it been like, the whole journey of being a coach for the U of M throughout your 17 years before going into your 18th year this year?
That's a really great question. I could probably spend the whole show kind of talking about the journey. How will I wrap it up for you and sort of encapsulate it? Continuous learning about the game, myself, the people around me, reflecting on things that I'd like to do different, reflecting on things that we do well, and constantly trying to move the program, ahead. And I mean, that's really what it's supposed to be about, I think. There's been some philosophical shifts, obviously. There's been change in direction. There's been lots of different things. So I guess I would say to you that for me, I have a much greater, deeper appreciation for the game of hockey. Going through this for the last 17 years on the other side of the bench as not being a player, obviously, than I probably did when I was a player. I think sometimes when you play and you're fortunate enough to play at a fairly high level and you move through the ranks a bit, you're just trying to get to the next level, and you don't really ever sit back as a young person and really get involved in the deeper throes of the game and really learn to appreciate it until maybe later on. And I think when I look back, that's probably what has happened to me as a coach. And obviously, there's some trial and error and those kinds of things, and just trying to be a good human being and trying to help our players learn. I guess that's sort of where I think I am today and moving forward.
Yeah, and just talking about that, just the continuous learning aspect of things, just how has that helped you as a coach along the way of just being able for you to realize that you need to continue to grow with the times and not stay in the past?
Well, I think that's a great question too, because I mean, generationally, things have obviously changed even in my 17, 18 years there. I mean, the pace of life is different. Technology has changed. I don't know that necessarily players have changed. They just think differently, and that's not a bad thing. So I think as a coach, if you're going to stay in the game and at any level of coaching, and then you're not willing to sort of take a deeper look at yourself and sort of reflect on the things that have happened, good and bad, and move forward with new ideas, keeping it fresh and not getting stale. I mean, I think that's really important. At our level, we coach players for 5 years, and even within that 5-year capsule, for those that make it to 5 years, you can't just do the same things all the time and talk, because the message gets really old and stale quickly, especially when you have those players for that long. So I think that part of it has been challenging for me, but also invigorating, because there's been several milestone things along the way that have changed my direction, for the better, I believe. Truly do believe that, and philosophically shifting how I think about communication, how I think about teaching, how I think about engaging people, how I think about recruiting, how I think about practice planning, how I think about all the things and trappings that are involved with the job at this level. So yeah, it's got to be a constant. It's like any other craft. You have to continue to want to get better. Otherwise it becomes very difficult to get your message across.
Just speaking about the experiences that you've had as a player in hockey, you've had a chance to play for the U of M from 93 to 96, so 1993 to 1996. You were able to play in the AHL as well as the East Coast Hockey League and in the British National League as well. So just those experiences, the experiences that you had along the way before coaching, how have those kind of helped I guess going back to the start helped you kind of find your footing as a coach?
It's funny you say that because, I had the experience of playing in an era when, and this is actually from Coach Maurice from the Jets. I've had the good fortune to get to know him a little bit in the last couple of years. We've had some really interesting conversations. So I feel very fortunate to have been able to get to know him as a person and as a coach, and he's been really helpful for me in my development. But further to that story, a few years ago, he had said that, him and I were close to the same age, and we had played in the era where there was more fighting in hockey in a span of 20 years than before or since. And I never really took time to think about that. And my point of that is that I played in an era where it was sort of kill or be killed. That was sort of the what drove hockey players. So I think I brought that mentality into the coaching world, and it wasn't necessarily a bad thing. My desire to compete, my desire to drive players to be better, were all things that I think the program needed at that point. However, it also, when you come from that environment, you have to adjust yourself, and that doesn't just happen overnight because you've been conditioned to play a certain way, to act a certain way, to and approach the way you do things in a certain way. So as much as that stuff, I have no regrets about anything. There were some things there that I brought along that probably weren't great. There were other good things that did come along. I learned a lot. I was fortunate to play for some really accomplished people that had a large effect on me. So you carry some of that forward, and you try to take the things that will work for you, and kind of discard some things that may not work for you. And then probably combine that into your, with your personality and what drives you philosophically and what drives you personally. So, I was fortunate enough to play at a decent level, and I had some great experiences through hockey as a player, and I have no regrets with that. And yes, it did certainly propel me forward. And I never really thought about coaching as a career, but I kind of fell into it, and, again, just rediscovered my passion for the game and helping it move forward.
Yeah, that's amazing. Amazing that you had a chance to talk to an NHL coach too, and Paul Maurice, getting to know him, which is crazy. You'd say that Paul has become a mentor for you in a way?
I mean, it's not like we're buddy and we don't call each other all the time, but we've had the good fortune, and I really respect Paul as a person. Getting to know him a little bit in brief conversation, not brief. We've had some really interesting conversations a couple times over the course of the past probably 8 years. I'm talking 3 or 4 times probably. And he's a guy that I could text once in a while, and he's just an incredible human being. There's a reason he's been in the league for as long as he has been. That doesn't just happen by accident. And I think he's on his own journey of sort of discovery about coaching, and he never stops learning, and he always wants to be better, and he wants to keep pushing, and he wants to get to develop new strategies for his players. And when you hear him speak, I think you've heard a shift in his tone about culture, about locker room, the importance of that. And it's part of what makes him successful. I mean, when his players talk about him, they're not just, I firmly believe they're not just paying lip service to because they have to say it. I do truly believe they're invested in him as he is invested in them. So those are some things I've kind of talked about with him and learned from him. And I watch him closely with the media. He's amazing with the media, respectful, humorous, controls the message, those types of things. So person in his environment and in his situation, he's a true pro. And those are the people you want to learn from.
Yeah, and speaking of a great Paul Maurice quote, it was when Dylan DeMello played his first game, I think. He called him coach's porn, which is awesome, hilarious. Love that quote from Paul Maurice. But yeah, just talking about the players that you've been able to bring in that the program has scouted, just take me through what the scouting process is like for you guys, just in a normal year, let's say, but like going outside of the pandemic.
Yeah, women's hockey is a funny animal because it mirrors the NCAA in a lot of ways. So take you back to sort of the, when women's hockey at this level was sort of becoming a thing. We're going back 15, 20 years ago. I mean, you're trying to get players from anywhere because the female game wasn't structured like it is now. There were very few high-level leagues. A lot of females played boys hockey. That's becoming more and more rare. And there were no AAA U18 leagues. There weren't prep schools, none of that stuff, right? So all that stuff has happened really in the last 15 to 18 years. So outside of the pandemic, I mean, you're trying to identify players early. Each coach has their own way of doing things, and that process is constantly evolving as well because there's just different things you have to think about and how you want to sort of attack that piece. It's challenging at our level. We don't necessarily have the resources that allow us to see kids often, so video is certainly becoming more of a thing. I'm still a sort of boots on the ground type of person who likes his staff and myself to try to get out and watch people live. I still think there's great value in that. I like to go and introduce myself if players don't know who I am and start that conversation that way. So it really is a multifaceted, multi-step approach with recruiting. You want to make contact. You want to express interest. You want to see if there's interest coming back your way. And then you sort of try to develop the relationship within what you're able to do. And again, we don't have enough resources and probably time to vet a lot of our players, but you're relying on instinct. You're relying on some of the vibes you're getting. You're looking at information. You're asking questions about people, through other people they know, coaches, teachers, people they've played with. So you're trying to do your due diligence. It's not a perfect science by any stretch. Any coach will tell you that. You're trying to get good athletes. Obviously, you're trying to project and bring people into the program that you think can play 5 years. That's the ultimate goal. Sometimes you get it right, sometimes you don't, but that's sort of the process. And again, it's constantly evolving, changing, and you're trying to one up your competitors for sure.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that you guys like to, like you especially, you like to go out and watch games live rather than just watching film. You rather prefer being in person. So for this year, when you guys were recruiting players for next year's team from this season that are in their grade 12 seasons, and even players in their grade 11 seasons this year going into their final season next year, just what were the biggest differences that this COVID-19 pandemic posed to just the way you guys recruited?
Yeah, we were in an interesting position because we were in this beginning of a reload, rebuild, restock, whatever you want to call it. So the 1920 season for us had 11 new players, and I always knew there was 2 big classes coming. So we actually worked a long ways ahead because we kind of knew we needed to anyway. So when COVID hit, we were kind of already well on our way into finishing actually the 03 class. The 02 class was done actually a long time before that. So we were well ahead of the game, and it actually ended up serving us really well because we didn't have to do a lot of stuff this past winter other than the 04 class, which now we've also completed because it's a smaller class. So we were able to do that through the pandemic and do Zoom. Was able to see some games early in fall, had some direct effect on a couple of those players from that 04 class, so the 2022-23 class. So was fortunately able to get out at the beginning of the year and really sort of invest myself in that. I guess the other advantage I have is my middle daughter is a AAA U18 player, so I've watched her play obviously since she was 5 years old, and the players that she's now competing against and has been playing against for the last couple of years, I'm very familiar with them in this province, so it isn't a big leap for me. So I guess that's been kind of the side bonus. So yeah, it's certainly, I think it'll change recruiting moving forward for sure. I find it hard to make a judgment call on a player from video. I can see some things, but there's just intangibles you can't see. So I think it's really important to still make the effort to either have staff you trust, get to games live and be on the same page that way, and sort of run your recruiting that way. Go to tournaments when you can, have people there and have boots on the ground. I just think that's never going to go away completely.
Yeah, for sure. And just talking about the talent you got from Manitoba coming into this season, coming up in 2021, 2022, you got some great players here. Rachel Godfried, Emily Shipham, Julia Bird, Jessica Hanner, and Ashley Keller. Some fantastic talent adding to a team. Like you said, you're kind of in the process of reloading at this point. Just how excited are you to be able to see the talent, the different abilities that these players are going to be able to bring to this Bisons team come the 2021-2022 season?
Yeah, we like I said before, we're in a really unique position because the 1920 class really only got 1 year. So the 02 class got really nothing other than some practices last fall. I think we ended up with 17 practices and 4 exhibition games before we got locked down. And then some of those, half our team went home and never came back because it looked like it was going to be extended. So I felt strongly that the players that were from out of province, a long ways from out of the city in Manitoba, should probably go. It was better for their mental health, I think. I feel that it was the right decision. Anyway, the players that were here, we were able to reboot in spring, and we got a lot of work done, actually. But further to your question, yeah, I'm really excited because this is a young, dynamic group of people that are extraordinarily hungry. They see opportunity. I would say those 3 classes are very deep. And there's an immense amount of potential there. So I'm chomping at the bit to get going here, and I know they are, and it'll be really interesting with that many young players to see what transpires. But I'm confident that the quality of the person that we brought in, combined with the level of athleticism, hockey ability, obviously, is going to be it'll be fun to coach, and that's supposed to be part of what it's about.
Yeah, and it's going to be awesome to see you guys be able to have a chance to play next season, get back to hockey. It's going to be awesome to see what this University of Manitoba Bisons women's hockey team is going to be able to do. So we're going to go to another commercial break here in the show. I've been joined by Jon Rempel, head coach of the University of Manitoba Bisons women's hockey team here on Inside the University. We'll be back in just a moment to just kind of recap the history of just some big events that have happened in Jon's career as a coach in terms of them going to national championships, winning their conference, stuff like that. Stick with us here on Coffee with Graeme. Welcome back to Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. Of course, this segment is Inside the University, as you can see on the screen right there. And yeah, I've been joined by Jon Rempel, head coach of the University of Manitoba Bisons women's hockey team. And yeah, we've just been talking about some of Jon's experiences along the way in coaching, just talking about how he took his experience as a player, and really it's kind of helped his experience too. We talked about just the continuous learning aspect of things, as well as just the class of Manitoba players that this team has coming into next season. So just talking about places that you guys scout in general. Is it all places in Canada? Is it all places in North America? Or is it just all places in the world, really? Where do you guys mainly focus on recruiting players from?
I think if you look at our roster traditionally over the years, you'd find it would be anywhere from 65 to 75, 80% Manitoba players. I mean, we certainly focus here first. A hotbed of female hockey, as I know you're aware. There's a ton of student athletes and potential student athletes in this province that are exceptional and have been for years. So I've been really fortunate in this program to be able to go to a local rink and watch a lot of local tournaments and not have to reach too far. Having said all of that, I think it's important to have a net that you can cast that, when you bring some people in from different environments, they bring a different sort of perspective on things. And you can really, we've been fortunate. Like we've had a few exceptional student athletes from Saskatchewan, a number from Alberta, some from Northwestern Ontario, and obviously we've had a couple internationals that have been very impactful. So I don't take a lot of credit for the international piece because they usually reach out my way, and it's impossible for us to scout international players. So, that's typically what our roster would look like. And certain years are different. It just depends on needs. It depends on timing. It depends on the value you place, on what you see in front of you. Certain classes are better in other provinces than they are in other provinces, depending on the year. So there's a lot of things that go into that. But I think first and foremost, the focus is, am I going to be able to try to have a chance at some of what I consider to be the best student athletes coming out of Manitoba? That would be my priority for sure, and our priority as a program. And then we sort of go from there.
What would you say in terms of just what this program is built on, the foundation of just the, I guess the morals, we could put it that way, of just what you kind of look for in players, just of what you want to bring in? What would you say are the types of players you guys particularly look at and bringing in?
We're looking at players that, it's not super complicated. And I mean, they really, what you're trying to do is exactly that, marry your philosophy. And again, what I said before about trying to vet these players and trying to figure out who they are as people is super important. And again, sometimes you hit it right on, sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's a process. And keep in mind, these are young 16, 17-year-old people who are just trying to form an idea of the world. And self-awareness is a thing that they're not even aware of yet, a lot of them. So it's tricky, but you're trying to do, again, your due diligence to marry those things. So to answer your question, in terms of the playing piece, players that are aggressive and play with purpose, for sure. Players that can think and can connect to their teammates. That's a big one for us. And players that want to be challenged and also want to challenge their teammates. So for us, it's not necessarily about, can a player skate? Obviously, that's important. Can they shoot? Yeah. Can they score? Can they defend? These things are all important, but it's more about the makeup of the person and the player overall. That is important for us. And I think that has contributed to some of our success over the years and those types of things, and being able to be a team that's been competitive and produces a good product. So it really comes down to those people for sure.
Yeah, and let me tell you, you guys have been very successful with you under the helm at head coach. Just in your first year, starting off before the successes, you started off in 03-04, if I calculated the years right. That was your first season as head coach.
04-05 was my first.
04-05 was your first year. So you come in, and the team the year before went 6-13-1. And then you come in, they ended up missing playoffs, but they were tied for the final spot. And the year you came in, this team made finals as the 3 seed, and not only 2004, 2005, but 2005, 06, and 2006, 07. Just to have that type of success so early on, just what did that say about yourself as a coach and just the program in general of the players that you guys brought in?
That right there was a double-edged sword, because we had so much success so fast that it masked some other things. So what I mean by that is, when you go from the program had sort of been a part-time evolving thing. They went from club hockey, which was the advent of it essentially in 98, and we're a part-time member of Canada West for a number of years there in that little interim. And then I was fortunate enough to get the position as the first full-time head coach. So it made a huge difference, obviously, that the university, my former boss, Colleen Dufresne, was one of her, the athletic director then was one of her pet projects to advance, equity in female sport. And she really worked hard to create that position and to help people see the value that it would bring to the university community and our athletic programs and whatnot. So I give her most of the credit, to be honest with you, because I just happened to be in the right spot at the right time. I think about those people back then that played with us, and it was really just an interesting journey because we brought in a bunch of new players. Obviously, we had some leftover players that were really good quality people, and I had to make some difficult decisions there about what the direction looked like. And fortunately for us, that first year was still one of my favorite memories about the run we went on. We went from, it was like you said, we went from nobody to somebody pretty quickly, and it was an escalating, really fast-paced ride. And it was really rewarding in terms of it. I was happy for the players that they were able to achieve that success. So it happened quickly, and it became something where it became the expectation, which is kind of what you want. And that's challenging to keep up that sort of pace and keep that sort of driving forward. So to get there that quickly was obviously not something that I ever would have expected, but it happened, and my credit to the players because they were the ones that really bought into what I was selling. And I really didn't know much about coaching, to be honest with you. And I don't know how much I still know, but I just, again, back to your former question, I tried to draw on experiences as a player. I didn't have a ton of coaching experience to draw on, and it seemed to resonate with those people. And they really bought in, and it was a close group. It was a close-knit group, and they really played hard for each other. So it was fun to watch.
Yeah, and you talk about the great run that this team had back in 2004, 2005, and your first year, you guys ended up, going to the finals, losing to Alberta. A great rivalry that I felt like was starting to build up at that point. We'll get into that a bit later on, but you guys ended up winning the bronze medal at the CIS Championships, which is now the U Sports Championships, and you ended up winning Canada West Coach of the Year that season as well in your first year. So just starting off with the bronze medal game to go to the CIS Championships and to win a bronze medal to finish off a crazy year like that. Just what was that feeling like, just going all the way to back then into where you guys won that bronze medal in the Nationals?
Yeah, it was interesting. I remember it really, really well because there are certain things that happened along the way that were just seemed like it was just meant to be. Like if I go into the playoffs of that year in Canada West, we were down against Regina in Regina. We lost the first game on a heartbreaker late in the game, but we came back in the second game, won fairly handily, if I can remember correctly. That seems to me. And then it set up a third and final game in that semifinal. We were down 3-0 going into the third period, and certain things happened in that game, and we ended up scoring with 18 seconds left to win 5-4. And that punched our actually there because the two teams got through. So then we went to Alberta, and keep in mind, this was a team that was on a 110 game winning streak at the time, and hadn't been challenged in, we had put we probably got closest to them that year in terms of putting a little scare into that. And we walked into that building, and those two games were really hard fought, really intense. And we gave it everything we could. I do remember that. And so we kind of served notice that we weren't just, going to roll over. However, when we went to nationals, having never been there, I didn't really know how to prep for it. It wasn't like today when you have all this video accessible of other teams. So I didn't know much about teams in the East, and we got whacked by Laurier 6-0 in the first game, and we were not prepared, and I take full responsibility for that because we didn't prepare our group the right way. So we got it handed to us, and I was like, wow, this team's really good. So anyway, we bounced back. We won the second game, which we needed to do to stay alive to have a chance to get a medal. We actually came back and responded really well. We beat Concordia 1-0 the next day, and then that propelled us into the bronze, and we ended up beating McGill. One of the few times we've actually been able to beat McGill over the years. So really exciting game. 2-1. It was fast. It was intense. It was really interesting process. So yeah, I give the players full credit because to keep responding that year, it was just one of those things that you get on this roll and you just keep doing the things that make you successful. And they responded from a lot of adversity that year, and it was fun to watch.
Just the rivalry built up with Alberta over the years. You guys have met, I don't even know if I can count it, on both hands here. Just the number of times you guys have met up has been crazy. Just what's that been like, being able, like at the time you said they were on a 110 game winning streak when you faced off against them in the finals, to be able to build a program like this to go up against the power of Canada West. Just what's that rivalry been like with them along the way?
It's been interesting because, clearly their program is the benchmark for, not only Canada West, but U Sports pretty much. The success that Coach Draper's had there, and every year they're there somewhere. Every single year, it's just keeps turning over, right? So I think one of the goals for us was to sort of reel them in. I guess that's what I would say. It took us 5 years. We actually, the first 7 years, it was us and them in the Canada West final. So it took us 5 years to sort of knock them down. We ended up winning in our 5th year in Alberta, so we lost 4 straight finals to them. And that group was really on a mission. Many of those girls played their first year in that year we were just talking about, and they just kept persevering, and it kind of became an obsession, to be honest with you. I'm not going to lie about it. The league wasn't as deep as it is now, not even close. There weren't as many good programs, so it allowed us the opportunity to sort of get our footing, to sort of establish ourselves, as a team that in a program that could be, something that people would have to pay attention to. So I think we did that. Yeah, I don't know what the number is. If I'm guessing here, I think we've played them 9 times in the Canada West final over the years. I think it's 9. That seems to be in my brain. The amount of games we've played against Alberta, I couldn't tell you. It's probably it could be 100. It could be 100 by now. It probably is, and I have great respect for Coach Draper. He runs a first class program. It's a preeminent program. It's the class of the conference in many respects. He's an extremely innovative coach, and he's one of those people that you have to be prepared to match wits against, because pretty innovative coach, pushes the envelope. Teams are always prepared to play. So I think I've learned a lot from just coaching against him, and the amount of preparation, effort that it takes to really prepare your team to get ready to play every night. And that's really what you're trying to do as a coach, is you're trying to be a team in a program that people know when they come and they play against you, you better be ready. And I guess that's the one thing I've learned from coaching against him all these years.
Yeah, and you just talk about that journey of that group that you had, of just it became an obsession of being in Alberta, and it finally was going your way kind of in 2007 and 2008 in that season. Even though you lost Alberta in the finals, you still qualified for the national championships, and you ended up getting Alberta back in the last game of the season with a win in the bronze medal game. Just speak about how that confidence really helped this team really know that, okay, we finally did it. We were able to beat them. Now we're going to have that confidence going into next season.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, that was the 4th year in the final, and it was getting frustrating in some ways, because this group just continued to sort of play better and get better, but this team was standing there in our way. And I think that year in the bronze medal, I remember that game very well too. We played a really, really solid game in that bronze medal, and we were always able to pull ourselves out of the disappointment of we didn't win a first game at nationals until we won the national championship in 17-18. So it took us and me a long time to figure out actually how that was supposed to be done, and could never quite get there. So, but I give full credit to our players, because we never quit at tournaments, and we always felt there was always something to play for. And I do think that what you're speaking of there, that win in that bronze medal game, it really served as motivation for the following year. When a large part of that group was in their 5th year, and they knew that it was now or never, and they really were on a mission that whole year, from day one of training camp all the way through to getting back to nationals and doing some good things there again. So in any regard, it was I think in sports you often have these rivalries that develop at every level, and there's just certain teams and programs that have this Yankees, Red Sox, Habs, Boston back in the day, and all these things have developed. And I'm not saying we're them, but I'm just saying it's one of those rivalries that at the beginning of our career certainly was a big thing. It's changed a bit now because there's just so much depth in our conference. There's a handful of teams that can win that conference every single year, to be honest with you, and have done a really good job developing their programs.
Yeah, we'll get into just how strong the conference has really become in a little while, maybe. But just talking about 2008, 2009, the year you guys won it all, finally getting over that hump. That season, in the regular season, you guys finished with the 2 seed, only finished 1 point behind Alberta in standings with 43 points, going 21-2-1, dominated Saskatchewan to get to the final, and then beat Alberta in a close 3-game series to win the championship. So just that feeling of getting over the hump, like we've spoken about, like it became an obsession of just trying to beat this team, to finally be able to do it in that Canada West final with the confidence built up from that bronze medal win. Just how unreal was that moment to finally see it come together in a Canada West championship series?
Yeah, it was pretty epic. I mean, that series was a pretty incredible series because it went to the 3rd game, and obviously in our league you can only play series that are best of 3s because of the travel and whatnot and the cost. So you have to be ready immediately. There's no you fall down. You lose the first one, you can still win, but it's not easy. But that series there ended up the 3rd game going to triple overtime. And there were a number of those epic clashes with them that went multiple overtimes over the years. That one there, obviously, I remember Nellie Minchell scored from her back on a scrum in the crease. I can still see it to this day. I see the goal, and just again, so happy for those players that had just grinded it out, stuck with it, had faced so much stuff and disappointment, heartache, but learning, right? And that's what it's about. And they learned how to get kind of over the hill, and learned what they would have to do to be able to get what they wanted to do. So I have tremendous respect. I have a deep fondness for that group of players that came in with me in that 04-05 class and stuck it out through lots of stuff and played 5 years, a number of other key contributors as well along the way. So I have extreme fondness for that group, and that's something as a coach I won't forget easily. Yeah, and
just for that group to finally get it done in an epic final, like you said, is crazy. That's amazing. And for you guys, you weren't satisfied after that. You guys ended up making it back to the final in the next season, and then ended up winning it all again in 2010, 2011. So just with players like that graduating out of the group and just or graduating from the team, and just trying to find more talent to, get on this team to replace these players. Just what was that like for you guys, being able to add players to stay at that consistent level of being one of the championship contenders year in and year out?
Yeah, like I said, it's hard to stay at that level consistently. And again, as the league has grown, more full-time programs, more full-time coaches, more resources from other schools being put into female hockey, harder and harder to do that. We were fortunate again to have, we went on a pretty good run there, and you're always trying to, there's no perfect formula for it. But you're trying to fill with younger players that some can step right in and play and be contributors, but you want to sort of develop a process by which your players that come in and maybe don't have a big role are still developing. And that's not something we've always been great at. I think our program is much better set up that way moving forward now, especially after coming out of the pandemic and whatnot. So I feel strongly that that's a piece that's probably been missing for us, to be honest with you. Because we do want to be a team that's in the conversation every single year. We want to be that program. Some years we've been able to do that, others not. But I'm really trying to avoid big sort of blips where, we've got to start there and then sort of, climb our way back. I'd rather keep it a little more even keel. So I think that's where we are today. And I think that group, we were able to do that for a lot of years. And again, it speaks to quality of people in our program, really is what it speaks to.
Well, yeah, for sure. Just it's been continuous, consistent success for you guys. Not many times where you guys have missed the playoffs, which is crazy under your tenure. And yeah, we're going to talk about the 2017-18 season coming up in just a moment. We're going to go to our final commercial break in this episode, our second final commercial break in the show in general. I've been joined by Jon Rempel, head coach of the University of Manitoba Bisons women's hockey team, on this edition of Coffee with Graeme on Inside the University. Stick with us. We'll be back with more here on Coffee with Graeme.
At Super 8 Winnipeg West, we have your comfort in mind with free Wi-Fi and free daily Superstart breakfast. We also have guest laundry facilities, a state-of-the-art fitness center, and a jetted hot tub. Sleep well in a spacious guest room equipped with plush new bedding, a 50-inch flat-screen HD TV, microwave, mini refrigerator, and Keurig coffee maker. Or book a suite with a kitchen, ideal for extended stays. Super 8, Winnipeg West, located just inside the perimeter on Portage Avenue.
Welcome back to this edition of Coffee with Graeme. Of course, I've been joined by Jon Rempel in this interview, head coach of the University of Manitoba Bisons women's hockey team. We've been talking about some of the championship years that they've had, the two championships that they won back in 2008, 2009, and 2010, 2011. We also talk about the rivalry, the battles that they've had against Alberta along the way. And now we're going to move into the big one, 2017-18. Jon, not only a great season for this program, but a great season for you. You were named U Sports Coach of the Year. You ended up winning Canada West Coach of the Year. This team ended up finishing as the first seed and winning it all in Canada West, and then winning in the U Sports Championship. So just where do we even start with this year? Just, I guess, the journey of being able to not only make it back to the national championships, but finally making over the hump.
Yeah, that group there, it's very eerily similar to the group that we just talked about that came in my first year, because the group that came in 14-15 was a big class, and it was honestly probably over the years one of my best and deepest recruiting classes ever. It was sort of a shift and a change in personnel in the group. Needed to go in a different direction. We did that, hit a home run there with a lot of players and some quality people that came in there. So they had a lot of success early, but also a lot of heartache and disappointment again. So I think it was two Canada West final losses and a semifinal loss leading up to that year. And again, very similar. They came back with a mission in 17-18. We were fortunate to add Van Lahovie, obviously the Finnish Olympian, who probably, when she came in the year before, provided sort of the maturity and stability and the know-how that this group probably needed. But having said that, there were so many good performances that year. And again, the group was on a mission. I think it was really important for us. We got Alberta in our barn in the semifinal, obviously 4 overtime game to clinch it in the semifinal, which punched our ticket. But we were able to host that year, and that was the difference. Very hard to win in Alberta. As teams over the years have found out, it's hard to get them out of that building. They've got a prescription for winning in that building. That's very, very hard, especially when you're under a lot of pressure. So I felt like that was really important. I think I remember saying back when that was all going on, we had a checklist of 4 things that we wanted to accomplish at the beginning of the year as a team. We wanted to finish first, which we did. We wanted to host Canada West, which we did. We had said that we wanted to win Canada West and then punch our ticket. And, the number 1 seed was important for us, because when you get to national, it affords you certain things that help you. Last change obviously is really important in a short tournament in particular, and the ability to, there were other things associated with it that were important. So we checked all those boxes, and I think going into that tournament, I felt for the first time, probably maybe other than 08, 09, I felt like we were legitimate favorites, and would get the job done. I was very confident. I remember my wife hemming and hawing about whether she could get the time off from work to come, and I said, "You should come to this one." I said, because I said this group's going to get it done, and we were just, it was just textbook playoff hockey all the way through. Really, is what it was. So, really, obviously, fond memories of that, and being able to help that group get over the hump again was something special. They're a special group of people for sure.
Yeah, and when the coach has confidence like yourself, a guy that's been through so many experiences of going to finals and winning championships, going to national championships, when the confidence is strong with the coach, it has to be strong with the players as well. And yeah, it just spoke volumes to what you guys were able to do. Just looking back at that semifinals against Alberta, you guys ended up losing that first game 4-1. Ended up winning game 2 in overtime 2-1, and winning that game 3 in a fourth overtime 1-0. So we've spoken about so many battles with Alberta, but just knowing what was at stake that season as the number 1 seed, knowing you guys were hosting, you were the home team in that series, hosting Canada West, just how huge was that victory against them compared to the others along the way?
Yeah, I mean, obviously different again because it was in our barn. It wasn't the final, but it felt like the final, to be honest with you. And that's absolutely no disrespect to the U of S, who we ended up playing in the final that year. They had a great team. They advanced to nationals along with us. They had a really good showing there as well. So, but that sort of felt like it, just because I think the way the games went, they were so close. Even that 4-1 game, it was 2-1 until the last. I want to say the last couple minutes. I think they scored late to make it 3-1. We didn't play great in that game. We didn't really help our goaltender very much. So I remember certain things about that game. The next game came back with more of a vengeance. Venla got back from the Olympics and promptly she missed game 1 because her flight was delayed. So she flew back from Pyeongchang and basically got off the plane and played, and her presence in the dressing room automatically changed the game for us. I think she assisted on both goals in that game, including the overtime winner by Sparky Anderson. And then it was a new series. And I mean, I think we controlled that 4 overtime game for the most part. It was very obviously defensive minded. Epic game though. The crowd was bananas. I haven't seen Max Bell like that often. That was probably more special for me than anything else, because at our level, you often play in front of not many people. So having a lot of the student athletes there going nuts, and the place was loud. It was boisterous. It felt like a playoff game, right? And that was really special, I think, for the players. Just seeing the support from people. I hadn't seen the building like that ever for a female game since I'd started. So that in of itself is my favorite memory of being in that series. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's nuts. Playing in front of huge crowds is it's always so. It gets the adrenaline pumping. It makes you fired up. It made me fired up, at least. Even I played. We had a big crowd out at one of our semifinal games and a game 3 elimination game, and that was wild. I just couldn't even imagine what it would be like at that university level with so much on the line. Just talking about being able to come into that U Sports Championships tournament that year as the 1 seed, the favorites coming in, obviously, just being able to go out there and show up, show out, and being able to win a championship, just to finally get over that hump. How can you put that into words? Just seeing it all unfold.
Yeah, it's still hard to sort of put it into words, because it took a long time, right? Like it took 14 years. So in the span of that 14 years, you learn a lot of different things, and there's a lot of hard lessons that go along with doing that. And that includes everything from never being able to win a game 1 at nationals in the format that U Sport uses. Once you lose the first game, you can't win, right? So you can't get into backdoor. There's no round robin, and there's none of that, right? So it's quick. You got to be prepared. And I guess from my perspective as a coach, I really trusted that we deserved to be in that position. I trusted the players. I trusted our leadership group, who did a fantastic job. I trusted our staff, and I'm not saying I didn't have those feelings about any other national championship that we were able to attend. I felt all those things, but this was a different feeling just because having earned your way in there as the champion of your conference and having the number one seed, that's not something we ever had going into a national championship before, because the two other times that we had won and got there, we weren't the number one seed. It was teams from other conferences, so we never were that team. And those, we had some great teams go to those national championships. This just had a different feeling. It was, again, 4 years of perseverance, adversity, heartache, triumph, all that stuff that goes into forming a team that's really, really hard to play against. And we were extraordinarily hard to play against. That was just the thing. We weren't going to overwhelm you with offensive stuff. We weren't going to outscore teams, but we were going to be really, really hard to score against them. We were. It was very hard to score on us that year, and we proved that again. So it was interesting, and our team, full marks to our team. They got everything they deserved.
Yeah, and just going back to that first game against Queens in that quarterfinals of that tournament, just what did you find the difference, if there were any differences this time around, of this team being able to go out and win a first game? Of course, you guys had the number one seed, but what exactly was the difference this time around?
I don't know. I just felt we were really prepared. I felt we were very calm. I didn't feel stress. The players didn't feel stress. We handled it professionally. We went in early. We were very prepared. We actually went in on the Monday. The draw didn't come out till we got there. I wanted to get there early as possible, and we hadn't done that in years past because of travel circumstances and some other things. So I felt like that was really important for this group. So we spent 4 or 5 days there. We were prepped. We had some really good practices. We were healthy. Other years we hadn't been as healthy as we were this particular year in certain regards. We did have some significant injuries, but other years we had even more, it seemed like, by that time. So that was all probably in our favor, and just the work was done. The prep was done. We were prepared. I didn't feel like we had left anything to chance, and then it was time to go and execute, and then the players did that. So yeah.
Speak about what the crowds were like out there from your side. Was there a lot of fans that came out from the university, from the school, to support the team?
Yeah, the fan support was decent. I mean, it's never going to be a huge draw, but
yeah,
the final was good. The final, obviously, against the host team, so that obviously was part of it. I don't know. I couldn't tell you how many people were there. The building was a little strange because the fans were only on one side and they were behind you, so it was hard to hear them. They had high glass, so it was really hard to hear, and you don't hear much anyway. So but it was a good environment. They put on a good championship there. It was well done.
Yeah, and just moving over to you, like being a Canada West Coach of the Year for 5 times in your career, winning the U Sports Coach of the Year as well. Just what's that been like? Well, the U Sports Coach of the Year back in that 2017-18 season, like you mentioned before. Just what's that been like for you when you've been able to win these achievements of just being recognized as not only the best coach in your conference in those years that Canada West, in the years you won the Canada West Coach of the Year, but that year in 2017-18 when you won U Sports Coach of the Year?
I'll be honest, I don't really. I'm proud of it, but I don't spend a lot of time thinking about those things. That's just not really who I am as a person. It's nice. I give our players, the credit, because ultimately they're the ones it's players win games and championships and coaches lose them. That's just how it is in our profession. And if you don't ascribe to that, then you're in the wrong business. So the credit goes to that, all those people that have really sacrificed a lot of stuff, a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of resources, playing a game they love, and that's what it's about. So for me, those things are they're not insignificant. I don't want to say that, but they don't I don't think about them very much. I'll be honest with you. I move on from things pretty quickly, but I guess by saying that, I've learned to savor moments more and really spend time thinking a little bit more about the things that our group of people over the years have been able to achieve. So I think those things are cool and all the rest of it, but there's always more work to be done and always ways to get better. So.
We spoke about the Canada West Conference. Well, you spoke about it, how it's gotten better as the years have gone along. Just what have been the biggest things that you've noticed to why this conference is getting so strong and it is considered, I see it so much, a top conference to play in?
I just think there's real value in Canada West by schools' commitment to there's a couple of things going on here. So one is that the commitment to equity with male sport is certainly part of it. There's no question that's true across the country. So that's a really important step that's happened. I don't think we're there quite where we want to be in terms of female and male equity, but I think we're getting closer. But the schools in Canada West have a very specific desire to be really good at the things that they do. And they want to provide student athletes with really good opportunities. They want to provide student athletes with things that will serve them well moving forward in their lives. It's hugely competitive. It's a different kettle of fish than other conferences because you have to travel so much, and it provides a different experience. So you get these situations where, players are really tested because you're traveling long distances and you got some brutal road trips at times. And it really is a different experience in Canada West than it is in some of the other conferences, who in many respects, sometimes are half an hour away. Some schools in the same cities are 15 minutes away. It's not the same experience, and doesn't mean those aren't good conferences, because they are, but Canada West is just a different feel to it. So it's a variety of things, and I have a lot of respect for the colleagues, people that I coach against in Canada West, because they've done some really, really good things with their programs, and that's how you get better. You want to be challenged every weekend to play against good, solid teams with good coaching, good athletes, so that you can get better. And if you are fortunate enough to advance past, then you have a good sense that you're probably prepared and you've been tested repeatedly. So. It's just the resources that schools and programs are investing in these female hockey programs has just shot through the roof, and it's great for these people and these student athletes to be able to have these kinds of experiences.
Last question before I let you go here, just what the expectation is for this group coming in to next season, with just how young this group is going to be coming in. Of course, you said like 11 new players come in the 2019-2020 season. Just what's the expectation for the season coming up with this Bisons program?
I think the expectation is always going to be, there's a lot of demands placed on these student athletes, and we want to take steps forward this year, and we want to move quickly, but also patiently with this group, and understand that. My assistant coach, Neil, said it to me best. He goes, this car's been sitting in a garage for a long time. We can't just take her out and rev her up to 8,000 RPMs right away. And that's the best analogy I can give you. So we got to be careful about our athletes' health, their physical, mental health coming out of this. Obviously, everyone's going to be excited to get going when we do and are able to do that. So we got to temper the excitement with the process and following the plan, and making sure that we marry those two. If we do that, I think we have a good chance to do some things that will keep propelling this program forward this year. I feel strongly. I have a tremendous amount of belief in the people that we've recruited. A ton of talent, and again, talent's kind of the floor, character's the ceiling. But we have lots of both in that dressing room. So I'm excited. We spent a lot of time working on those classes of recruits, and so I would say that's what we're shooting for.